Throughout all my life, Superman has been one of the most important characters in my life. Has been one of my favorite characters throughout. And it wasn't until I read Action Comics #1 for the first time, and something clicked with me. I understood who Superman was, why Superman was, and funny enough, it came from the first appearance of Superman. And something just clicked, and he was boosted up, and he's my favorite character of all time. But at that time, I don't think there was very good figures of Superman, and that was the point in time where I moved from vintage collector and more specific collecting to more broad, modern collecting, and there wasn't really good figures. But fortunately, at the same time, I was a customizer, and the great Spoon Dude made an excellent 1/12 scale Superman custom, and I wanted to make it. I wanted to replicate it. I wanted to do it for myself, and that figure was amazing, at least for the time. I was able to do what I do best now, and I was able to do it. And I was so excited to have that even though objectively now, if I made this would be terrible, at the time I was so happy with it and so excited to have it that it's still one of my favorite customs, and I regret parting it out later on. So I wanted to revisit that. I wanted to revisit that feeling, and I wanted to revisit that custom now that I'm better at this and I know what I'm doing. And it just so happens that Head Up Studios produced these excellent Bronze Age Superman heads based on Jose Garcia Lopez, Dan Jurgens, John Byrne, and all these great artists throughout the Bronze Age that I pushed to it, and I finally ordered the body. So I knew where I wanted to start, I knew where I wanted to go. So here is our overview. This is the Hyperion mold. This is 100% painted, actually, or almost 100% painted. It's one of my better customs. It's one of my better creations, and I'm really proud of it. I want to go in closer, but just going to give you a quick little overview of everything. And I'm really happy with this guy, and he looks great on camera. He's just really popping. So I am very glad to be showing you this, and yeah. Starting low, we have the boots. I chose to just paint these on as opposed to sculpting or anything really particularly special or particularly difficult, I guess is the term. As is the Marvel Legends way, and I think that kind of honors what I did originally back in my first custom. And most importantly, I don't really like how the mismatch between what was on blue and what was painted on yellow really looks, but it's nothing totally crazy. These are just Superman's boots. Getting a bit higher, it's sort of an uncomfortable shot. We have his trunks and hips. The most important thing about Superman, at least in my opinion, is the trunks. I think that is a very important character design, so I try to replicate that as thoroughly as I can. If you know anything about the Hyperion mold, is that he has a big diaper piece, which is pretty much entirely removed. My biggest recommendation with this mold is don't cut it off completely and just have it cut down. And you can kind of tell where I did that, and it is a bit messy towards the side. This is where the peg is, and you can kind of see where I sanded it and kind of filled it in, but it's not perfect, and I'm not going to claim it's perfect. You can also see a little bit of the cuts, I guess. See like the mismatches with where I cut it with the X-Acto knife. Towards the back, you can see a little bit more flaws. You can see the peg over to the right. You can see how like it dips. You can see the belt loops aren't really painted on well. After all, this is the back of the figure, and it's hidden by a cape, especially. So I don't really care. Zooming out, here's the cape. As you can see, there's two wires. There's the yellow S, which I just hand drew. It's some heat transfer vinyl, which I then cut out into the shape I wanted and just drew the logo on. Nothing crazy, nothing truly spectacular here, but it does look quite nice. Going towards, I think the most important part of any Superman custom is the chest. And you can see some paint mismatches, see some paint flaws. You can see toward the right where the original cape was attached, and I didn't fill that in properly. But on a galloping horse, you don't see that. Any of that, really. But this is one of my favorite logos I've painted on, because I did hand paint this. When I was painting this, the blue and the logo specifically were kind of my bigger challenges, because I wasn't totally sure where I was going to go with it. And funny enough, when I got it all painted, it was mostly Superpowers inspired. This is the kind of the Superpowers blue. This is kind of like how it like just shaped. And I think that's kind of funny because that is unintentionally my mind's eye Superman and how I just pieced it together because I just went with what I thought felt right in that moment. Also with this shot, you can see the tuck in the chest, or tuck in the collar. I think that looks really nice. The wire, if you can tell, is towards the top of the neck and it goes in. It's not really the best in my opinion because it's not going on the edges where the wire should be. So you don't really get that much posability. So this is essentially just a draped cape that keeps its shape a little better. Coming in towards the most important part of any figure is the head. This is once again a beautifully sculpted head by Head Up Studios. And I need to praise Head Up the most I can. This is one of the best Superman head sculpts I've ever painted and one of the best Superman sculpts I've ever seen. This is just Superman. This is a perfect Bronze Age Superman, and I'm very glad I painted it well. Only problems I'm seeing on camera is I can't really tell there is a blue dry brush on the hair, and the eye color is getting a little washed out. Looks a little more black than blue. One of the more important parts of this head I would like to note is that the expression isn't totally neutral. When something looks totally neutral, it looks kind of sad and a little less Superman and more depressed. And I think the big issue with that is just sculpt and sculptor's intent. So I have to give my praises to Head Up Studios because he did a wonderful job at getting the expression right. And obviously the flip side of this, instead of a little bit of a smile, you can do a little bit more of like a stern, not so much a frown, but just a sterner expression. But I really do like the gentle, kind look to this head. Continuing on in sort of a similar style, this is the smiling head. You kind of see a little bit more of the blue on overall. And you kind of see the metallic blue I painted in the eyes. And I think this is just one of my better smiling sculpts. And this is the first smiling sculpt I've done since years back. With the teeth out especially, it's very hard to kind of maintain and make it look right. But I am very glad it looks nice. And it looks really good. A certain angle, something like that. And I'm very happy to have this sculpt. And I'm very happy to show it to you because I can't help but gush on how good this looks on camera, and especially in real life, which even looks better. So yeah, this is one of my best, and yeah. Coming in the opposite direction, we have this wonderful angry expression. The eyes look angry, the teeth looks properly clenched, and the biggest challenge with this one is that unlike with like Hulk and kind of Batman, and especially Wolverine, I can't paint the teeth as separated with Superman because he needs to look pretty. It's kind of a rule of thumb that you don't separate the teeth as much with your superheroic characters. And I think that's important to note and take into consideration when painting. So the eyes I painted with metallic red. I painted in the teeth, same similar way I did with the smiling head, but you can see the gums and just, I don't know, I really like gushing about these heads because these are some of the best Superman heads I've ever sculpted so far, and I'm very, again, happy to own it. Once more pulling out, we have the grip hands that came with the Hyperion. These kind of don't make sense. I really wish he didn't come with grip hands because he doesn't have anything to hold on to, and I'd much prefer like expression hands. And as our kind of overhead shot, I'm kind of showcasing the wire in the cape. I hope this kind of illustrates a little bit more of the issue with it since it kind of isn't wired on the sides, so it's hard to kind of convey motion. But we have our two heads and we have our two hands. But of course, I can't leave it alone, and I have to do one more thing.
My son's car blew up and went into the ocean.
But are you sure you understand? I mean, this is serious.
I know. I guess the shock just hasn't set in yet. If you hear anything else, give us a jingle. Bye now. Well, this is a fine mess.
It's not like he's really dead, Martha. He just can't be Clark anymore.
But I am Clark. I need to be Clark. I'd go crazy if I had to be Superman all the time.
There must be some way to bring back our boy.
I don't see how. Not with an eyewitness and all. And don't forget, there's someone else to consider.
Pa was right. I still had to help Walker. I couldn't let his friends go through this too, even if it meant that I had to tell the world that Clark Kent is Superman.
Just as Superman's important, you have to talk about Clark Kent. So Clark Kent, this is the Tombstone body, which is about the same size as Hyperion, which is what I was going for. And this is one of my favorites also. I never made a Clark Kent, back then, so this is less of a tribute to my older custom, but more of like a treat for you guys, since I didn't think Superman was enough to kind of support his own video. So Clark Kent's on Tombstone, once again a head-by-head up studios. Get the hands from another Hyperion, I forget which one I pulled that one from. And yeah, this is sporting the kind of superpowers Kirk Swan, maybe Jose Garcia Lopez look. I think we should get a little bit into the details. First and foremost, the head. The head is the most interesting part of this, because he's a little less, because Tombstone isn't built like most figures with the neck at the bottom. I had to kind of engineer something. So at the bottom of the neck, we have the top of a McFarlane neck that I kind of used as a spacer, and I kind of shaved and cut at it so it would fit right, which I will try to show pictures as possible. At the top of the neck, inside the head, we have the Marvel Legends Tombstone head, which you can kind of tell. So that helps and makes him look a little bit more natural. Once again, Head Up Studios head, and glasses do come off. These are the glasses from what's his name? Bruce Banner, the Bruce Banner 2-pack with Hulk. And yeah, getting him up on my spinner, he's a little less in depth than Superman because there's a lot less to do with him. But you can definitely see the flaws here. I shaved away too much of the jacket at the shoulder because paint chipping, and I kind of just went overboard with the Dremel and my X-Acto knife. He's overall a really, really simple custom. Nothing crazy, just blue overall with some white, some red. Nothing really crazy. This is not a crazy custom at all. You can see the head. The tie is nice. I really like how I kind of think I could have done it better, but I like how it looks. And you could definitely tell the difference with the shoulder, because although you can see inside of that one still, it looks a lot cleaner. It blends in a little bit better. And you can sort of see you can definitely see the difference between the necks, the two neck pieces. With the head specifically, this is once again the head of Clark, Superman head. This one just doesn't have the same hair, and he did offer 3D printed glasses, but I was not a fan of those because they are hard to print. So I substituted those with the Clark, or with the. So I substituted those with the Bruce Banner glasses. I wish there was a little bit more to say with Clark because he's such an easy custom. It's just a little bit of silver on the buckles, blue all over, and then just a little bit of dremeling in the hands a little bit. This is such a simple custom. I really wish I could talk more about it. I don't have accessories for him. I was working on some, but deadline came up, so this is gonna have to do. I feel like he's more of an accessory in himself to the Superman, so I guess let's show the full spread. So here is our full spread. We have 2 heads, we have 2 hands, we have Superman and Clark. I think they're very good companion pieces, and I think they're really good at driving up the runtime of this video. Let's get into comparisons, and then we'll wrap this up. First off, I figure we should compare the two. As you can see, they're both about the same size. Maybe Clark might be a little bit taller, but I'm pretty sure his head isn't clicked in fully. But I figure the first and most important one is them side by side, standing straight up and down. So we have 2 more Hyperion mold customs. We have Mr. Incredible's Glory Days outfit, and then we have Omni-Man. Now these are both kind of just more uses of the mold, and all of these actually I was kind of planning since the beginning. And with my last Hyperion mold custom, we have Sentry. This one was a lot more of a challenge piece for myself because painting an entire figure yellow, let alone yellow on top of red. So yeah, so obviously these two are going to scale about the same since they are the same mold and are supposed to scale kind of with each other. Continuing on, we have 2 other 1/12 scale Superman customs. We have the Mafex Dark Knight Returns Superman. This has a custom head based on Ed McGuinness's art. And then we have the Mafex Hush Superman. Lastly, here are our relative scale comparisons. We have the Marvel Legends Wakanda Forever Wave Black Panther, and then we have the Blue Beetle / Booster Gold Buck. This is the Flash. It's the same body, so same proportions. As you can see, these are kind of that weird scale where they're kind of in between, but also not really, depending on who you display them with. And that's about it. That's kind of where I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it was a little bit different, and I'm kind of trying to find my style here, and I'm glad you stuck around. and I hope you enjoy the photos.